was friends with everybody, you know, Nick loves everybody, that sort of thing. But it was great, and it's not as if I woke up one morning with this confidence, like I woke up, bang, and I got this confidence, you know, God's with me, you know, He's got a purpose. No, it was just an eventual, well, it's basically, it's a journey. It's a journey. It was character building. And I always had my parents with me, and a lot of people ask me, well, how did you do it? How did you get through those hard times when you wanted to give up in life? And it's one day at a time with Jesus. And obviously my parents introduced me to having a relationship with Jesus and having a friendship with Him. But I tell you, the time in my life where I asked Him to come into my life was when I was 15 years old. You see, it wasn't just to say, okay, well, now I'm going to change the things about me. I'm going to stop doing this, or I'm going to start doing that. It was basically a decision in my life to say, Jesus, I trust in You. I believe Your word. I believe that You have a plan for my life. And how did He let me know that I had a plan? Not just from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, where it says that God has a plan, a hope, and a future for our lives, but a story that I read in the Bible changed my life and convinced me that God is with me. And it was in John chapter 9 where a man was born blind, and there was no reason for it, quote, medical reason. Back then no one knew why and had no answers as to why this had happened. And I know that in my life I had no answer to why I was born this way. And so as Jesus was going through this village and came across this man, people were asking Him, why was this man born blind? And Jesus said it was done so that the works of God may be revealed through him. And it just hit me so hard. You know, all my life, all I've wanted was to know that somebody understands. Just someone knows what I'm going through. Because no one knew what my pain was. And that's why I didn't believe people when they said everything's going to be okay. Because they didn't understand what I was going through. They didn't know my future. But Jesus did. And He does. And He has a reason for everything. That He knew me and formed me in my mother's womb. That I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. That God has a purpose and His works will be revealed through my life. And at that moment I thought, well, God, I now fully believe and trust in You. That You do have a plan for my life. And I want to start a friendship with You. And I want to find out more about this purpose You have for my life. And so when I said this prayer to Jesus, Jesus, forgive me of all that I've done wrong, and I thank You, Jesus, that You died on the cross for my sins, and that I have a hope and a plan in You and a purpose. This peace just flooded over my heart, because not only was I very burdened with the disability that I had and the situation that I had, but I was also burdened with much guilt in my life. We've all done something wrong, and I always thought of God, you know, obey the 10 Commandments, and you got to stop doing this, and you got to stop doing that, a God of regulations and rules. But it's not that. It's when you decide to live for Him, and He changes you bit by bit, and you don't want to swear anymore. He changes your heart. And not only does He change your heart, but as you ask Him to reveal more of the plan He has for you, He does. He doesn't reveal it to you straight away. And He doesn't change you straight away. It's that journey that I'm talking about with Jesus. And He doesn't promise a life of smoothness. He doesn't promise an easy life. He doesn't promise that when you go through the fire, I'm going to put out the fire. He says, when you go through the fire, I'm going to be with you. And this is it. Asking Jesus to come into your life, all it means now is that He's with you. And I recall and recollect a poem that did touch my heart very deeply. It's called Footprints. It's very famous. And it's a beautiful story of a man walking along the beach in the sand with Jesus. And the man looks back and he says, how come in the easy times of my life I saw 2 footprints, and in the hard times of my life I only see 1? And Jesus says, through the easy times I was walking beside you, but through the hard times is when I carried you. And it just touched my heart to just know that God is with you. That even when you don't see those footprints next to you, even when you don't feel like God is next to you, it's then He carries you. And by giving my life to Jesus, I know that God is in control. My life is in His hands. I don't need hands. I don't need feet. God is carrying me. Jesus is with me all the way. And that's awesome about God. But the greatest thing is that I now, having Jesus in my heart, have discovered an awesome purpose and joy in my life. Everybody wants to find their purpose in life, and I have found mine, and that's to give hope to the world in any way that I can, from the smallest ways to the biggest ways. But I've seen the greater purpose of my disability, that when people see me without arms and legs, they can tangibly see that you can, by God's grace, conquer any struggles and any circumstances, that no matter how big your storms are in life, that God is bigger, that He has a purpose for even the worst parts of your life, that all things come together for the good. And there is no greater joy than knowing that Jesus is with me all the way, that He will never leave me, that there is a greater purpose to each and every storm in our life. And maybe you have a storm or some circumstance in your life that you don't see that greater purpose right now. You don't have that joy or peace. And all we have to do is just call upon Him, and He will give you that grace, and He will give you that clarity of vision day by day, of knowing that every single downtime we have, that God is molding us, He's making us, and He's making me into the man He wants me to become. And I want to challenge you that if you don't have that purpose, but you know that you're wanting something more to life, there's got to be more to life, I want you to know that you can find it in Jesus, and He's only a prayer away.